Good afternoon, Bulldogs. This is Ebony Curry reporting to you live from the Ernest Knight Center here on the campus of Alabama A&M University. With it being Black History Month, we are excited to begin our campus celebrations. And today is our first kickoff with Dr. Strayhorn, who will be speaking to our students about Black History Month and student success. Dr. Strayhorn, it's good to have you on the Hill with us today.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Now, you are so young and accomplished, and you worked at several universities, and now you're at Ohio State, and you've written several books. Were you always this driven, or what was your turning point?
Great question. So, no, clearly I haven't always been this driven. There was a point in my life where I was sort of aimless, without goals. I've always jokingly said I'm the fun size. So when I was in school, I picked up that one way for me to earn points with my peers was to be the class clown. And of course, that made me very popular with friends, but sort of enemy of teachers. And I wasn't driven, I wasn't really motivated, but in sixth grade is one of those turning points. Interestingly enough, for Black History Month, it was my first and only black teacher ever in my life, Miss Cannon, Carolyn Cannon. She's deceased now. One day I had, staged a very funny act in class where I fell out of my seat and everyone was laughing. And Miss Cannon said, "Terrell, get up and get back in your seat. And I want to speak to you after class." And so I went to her after class and she said, "You know what, you should stop goofing off. If you ever believed in yourself the way that I believe in you, there's no telling how far you can go in life." And then what I say is she introduced me to my possible self. She talked to me about the things I could do if I really worked hard and stayed focused and was driven. That was one of the turning points. With the support of my family, my mom, my dad, my grandmother, I started then pulling things together and really being focused on academics.
That is profound. Teachers always have a way of, being our role models. So I heard you saying that you staged, you did a little acting thing. Well, what a lot of people may not know is that you were once interested in acting. And how exactly did that come about, and how did that impact the person you are today?
Yep. So in ninth grade at Kimsville High School, I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia, I starred as Oliver in the musical Oliver. And the reason why I got chosen for Oliver, there are a couple reasons. Although, as you can clearly tell if you've ever seen Oliver, Oliver's not usually African American, but Oliver is a little kid, and I'm small, and I was smaller in high school, and they needed someone who could sing and someone who could be energetic and move. So I remember in ninth and 10th grade, starring as Oliver, learning all my lines, and then the night of the show, the day of the show, interestingly enough, like I just finished drinking lemonade. It's a funny story behind that. I started drinking lemonade in ninth grade because the day of the show, I lost my voice. And I was like, oh no, if I have no voice, I can't be Oliver. And my music teacher said, drink lemonade, lemon juice, whatever. So I went to Taco Bell of all places and had a whole bunch of lemonade. Sure enough, by the evening, I had enough voice to get through the night. Still today, I drink lemonade. How does it really play into what I do now? In many ways, I think there's a performance aspect to teaching. There's certainly a performance aspect or an aspect of performance in public speaking. So I'm still the fun size, I'm still striving to be energetic, I still try to match my substance and my research with some performance and ways to engage the audience. And it probably traces its way back to when I was Oliver.
Dr. Strayhorn, why exactly did you choose a PhD in higher education?
It's a great question. When I finished my undergraduate degrees are in music and religious studies, which meant I had to go to graduate school, unless I wanted to be a preacher and a musician, which was not exactly what I thought I was going to do, although both of those are really important to my life. So I went to grad school, but I always knew I didn't want to be like a public school teacher teaching in like K-12 education. I was introduced to education policy in my master's program and met some folks who were really studying post-secondary and higher education. I loved it. The idea of studying college students and universities and the impact you can make at that level is what really attracted me. So when it came time for me to pick a doctoral degree, I knew education was where my passion was. I knew that most of my interests lie beyond K-12. Higher ed was a good fit. And then I learned that even with a PhD in higher ed, I could have a concentration in race and social policy. And so a lot of my scholarly curiosities are about issues of social identity, race, social class, and identity. And I realized I could bring all those together through a higher ed program. So that's why I decided to major in higher ed as my PhD.
Now, speaking of majoring, what is some of your advice for people who don't know yet exactly what their major will be or even their role in their life? So exactly what are your views on that?
So some of this I'm going to talk about in my talk today. So I'm not going to steal my own thunder, but I will say that there are a couple things. One, picking a major is important. It takes time, so take your time with it. If you don't know what to declare, don't declare. Figure out how you can either declare like an undeclared major or be in an exploration major until you get there. But also really focus on, when I picked my majors, I think when I went to undergrad, I was a biology major. And then I switched to be a chemistry major, and then I switched to be a math major. And then one day someone said, why do you keep changing your major so much? And I was like, because I love all this stuff. And they said, well, it's not about what, no, I said, I love all this stuff and I can do it. And they said, well, it's not about what you can do, it's about what do you want to do. And I tell people a lot of times, there are a lot of things all of us can do because we're very gifted and hardworking, and we put a lot of effort into things. But if we focus on what is it that we really are interested in doing, what kind of problems do we want to address, what kind of impact we want to make, that will help you figure out which major to choose. So when in doubt, ask for other people's input.
And last question, what are your views on HBCUs and how far do you think that HBCUs will go and continue to grow?
Yep. I think HBCUs, historically black colleges, are an important part of American higher education, have always been, always will be. So there are about 105 historically black colleges in the country, representing just 3% of institutions in the U.S., but they educate over 20% of all African American students, and even nowadays, because they're so diverse, educate large numbers of white students and international students and graduate students. So they're important engines of what we need to do in higher education. That history and that present day role needs to be amplified. So some of the work I'm doing right now at Ohio State, although I'm at a predominantly white institution, I still study historically black colleges to send the message that they are important engines for economic development, for education and uplift of communities, and they're going to always be that way. And so Black History Month is a great time to be at Alabama A&M, certainly here at Historically Black College, to send the message that we've got to remember our past as we move into our future.
Profound. Well, Dr. Strayhorn, we certainly thank you
My pleasure.
for being with us today, and we hope this is not your first and last time visiting our
My
campus.
pleasure. Thank you.
And I understand you're an Ohio Buckeye.
I am.
But today we're going to need some AAMU Bulldog Pride.
Okay, Bulldog
so
Pride.
So can we go and say, go Bulldogs?
Go Bulldogs.
Awesome.
She's amazing. She's great.
This is Ebony Curry, once again reporting to you from Alabama A&M University. Thank you. Good afternoon, Bulldogs. Today we are here with Mr. Quentin Land. He is one of our students here at Alabama A&M University. Quentin, tell me, what did you love about this speech and presentation?
For one, the speaker, he really conveyed his message really well today, and it was really inspiring. He talked to us a lot about motivating yourself and belonging, and I know it touched me on a personal level from a lot of personal things that I've been through and still going through, and it really just inspired me to just get out and embrace my culture and embrace my heritage as a black man.
Being that this is Black History Month, what are some of your expectations and ideas and hopes here on the campus of A&M?
That people become more aware of what Black History Month really means, what it stands for, and what we can contribute towards that month. And not only that, every day is, I feel like, it's Black History Month, because you need to look yourself in the mirror, understand where you come from, where you are right now, and where you're trying to go, as well as the area you're around.
Can you tell us something that really touched you during this presentation and during this speech tonight?
Well, first and foremost, I believe the presentation was very impactful. One of the most things that I really liked from the presentation was the fact that never allow circumstances to try to stop you from being who you are, regardless of the situation. Always be comfortable in who you are. And so his story with the Converse really was, it was touching. Yeah.
What are some movements that you see happening on this campus of A&M?
movements. Well, you know, I'm continuing my platform, No Handouts, All Hands In. So the last part of the platform, part of restoring and restoration comes with going all the way back to the roots. So we're going to do some things with beautifying the block. We're going to do a grand opening of our historic student center, a re-grand opening for that matter, and then we're going to do some more events. Have a lot of surprises, but students can check their emails and our social media to really stay up in tune what's going on.
Well, guys, you heard it here first. Check out for your emails, and thank you so much, Misty, for joining us today.
Thank you.